How's it going, everybody? It's me, Gruggets, and we're gonna take a look at some battles I did today. First set, not gonna lie, it was pretty rough, but let's just break it down. I recorded two sets today. One was horrible, for the most part. The other was alright. So, starting off, we got Azu and a Gligar. That's a pretty favorable lead. They decided to swap out into Feraligatr, and my backline does decent into him, but I wanted to get this chip, which he surprisingly lets go. Usually people love to give up their shields on Feraligatr, but I just let this Hydro Cannon go through. I know I should be fine, and we get the full farm down, which is great. We've got some energy to throw out, and they bring in, I think that was Annihilate. Yeah, so this is a problem. None of my energy that I'd saved up was useful, but we can come back in with the Azumarill and hopefully make something happen. If Annihilate makes it through to Guzzlord, it's over, so hopefully our opponent doesn't catch on to that. So we throw the Ice Beam, they do shield it, so it looks like they are going to try to take this Azu out. Probably just trying to protect the Gligar, but hopefully they don't realize we have something very weak to Annihilate in the back. But throw another Ice Beam, they shield it again. Now it's going to be a race to the next move, which they do make it. I decided to let this go. It is going to suck taking these counters, but Guzzlord does enough damage with Dragon Tail to take him out in 3 Dragon Tails. So I decided to let that go. Night Slash isn't going to do too much, and then we can start unloading with crunches. So, I mean, look at that. Look at how much damage that did. That's crazy. And I think they were only able to make it to an Aerial Ace. Yep, and so we were able to survive that and just barely win that game. That was a wild one. But GG's to our opponent. Let's move on to the next one. And I was feeling pretty good at this point. Now I start to feel bad. Alright, let's see what we got. And we have the worst lead possible. Charjabug kind of core breaks this team. Like, Vigoroth has some play here, but it's certainly not favorable. So I try to bait with Body Slams. Even if he does let this go, it'll do considerable damage, and he does want to keep this thing healthy, which is bad for us. But at least we got the bait. So he's going to throw his move. I decided to let this go, trying to at least goad him into not shielding the next one to keep his shield advantage, and he does, so that's good. This thing's almost taken out, and I decided just to let Vic go here. We're just going to come back in with, I think, Azumarill, and see if we can get the farm down, and we can. Perfect. And they come in with Lickitung, and so this is not the best. Power Whip is gonna hurt, and this is a point in time to where I realize I really need to start learning move counts. Like, I know a few, and I'm decent at catching, but when it comes to these one-turn moves, I'm not that into it. Like, I haven't bothered to learn it too well. I know people say to count your own moves in regard to theirs, but it's so difficult to keep track of that. And they come in with Goodra, and this would be decent if I had a little more HP, but Goodra's fast moves are just doing way too much. I decided to let the Aqua Tail go because that's not going to do too much, but yeah, we just get outpaced here. I'm surprised I wasn't able to get that Dragon Claw off, but that's just how it goes. They get the Thunder Punch off, and we're bleeding here. There's not much more we can do. They decided to let that go because they know all they need is one more Body Slam with Lickitung, and they are golden. I think they go for Power Whip here anyways, but you know what? It happens. That was a close one, but GG's to our opponent. They played well. But yeah, this is where I encountered some of the hardest answers for this team. This team is an ABB format. I'm sure you guys have seen anything like it. I think next video I'm going to try replacing Vigoroth with Lickitung just to give me a little bit more of that bulk in case we encounter a bad lead. I feel like he's just a more reliable safe swap, which I mean he's one of the best, go figure. But we have an Altaria here, and I make a critical mistake in this game. I was hitting myself after it because I think I could have won this. But we go for the Rock Slide, they let it go, awesome. So Altaria's getting low, and I had a Body Slam there, and I decided not to throw it. I thought I could make it, and I'm just hitting myself because if I had gotten that extra damage, I would have not had to take a move on my Azumarill. But we go for the farm down here. And they come in with an Azumarill, which is there were a few times I encountered Azumarill in the back, and that's just like a worst case scenario for this team. The Water Fairy combo, you just don't want to see it. Like, the mirror's fine with the Azumarill, it just takes time. It's just watching them play rough each other to death. I think we got, a couple more hours to wait on this matchup. But Go for the play rough. We're going to get him low, but he decides to block it. And then they come in with Galvantula. And that's the problem with this, is just like the chargy bugs or electric bugs. They love Guzzlord. The bug coverage, it helps it out so much. And Guzzlord, like, while he has a big pool of HP, he just doesn't have enough defense to compensate for those super effective attacks. So I decided to go for the crunch in hopes of getting the defense drop, but that doesn't work out. So they go for the play rough. I decide my only option is to shield, and I just tried to build up to 2 ice beams, but I know that wasn't going to work out. Another tough lead, but GG's to our opponent. We did our best. Except if I had just gotten that body slam off, it might have been different. You never know. That extra HP could make a difference, but at the end of the day, it's alright. We're still on the early ranks. I'm not in full try-hard mode yet. Maybe once it's like the last week of the season, I'm gonna start sweating. But for now, I wanted to give this Guzzlord a try because I actually just got it. My friend Will, it's funny because one night we were just like, it's like you have a 1% chance basically of getting this trade to work with best friends, and he's like, it's not gonna work. He's like, just trade it to me, and it worked. But aside from that, moving to the next one, we decided to swap into Vig. Nightmare. It's Annihilate, and there's not like, this is like, I'm not gonna say the game's over because there are possibilities to get this to work out, but depending on what they have in the back, we will see. And I have to come back in with Azumarill because Guzzlord does not want to see this guy. So I have to hope we can take him out. Thankfully, Big was able to get him down to about half. And the Ice Beam Bubble combo is going to take him out. So we get that. We decided to just blind swap into Guzzlord, hoping that was the hardest counter. It wasn't. We have Charge-a-Bug. I decided to let one of these go because we can survive it, but I'm going to have to shield the next one. This is where it gets very uncomfortable. Charge-a-Bug and Annihilate, our team's pretty much cooked. Not a whole lot we can do, so this set was pretty rough, but we are able to fast move him down, and they have a Azumarill in the back, so this was all round just something that it was a real struggle. But I mean, hey, we gotta play out our games. Maybe something good can happen. Get the defense drop. I think, did it? I don't know if that was the bubble effect or an actual defense drop, but it doesn't matter. They decided to throw an Ice Beam for whatever reason. My shields are down. I guess like the Ice Beam Play Rough combo is enough, but it's not. So if they had just thrown 2 Play Roughs there, they would have taken me out faster, more efficient. But I tried to bait, but it's too late at this point. I decided to just let it go. And last one for this nightmare of a set. Let me tell you guys, I was so close to switching out my team, but I feel like generally, if you get hard countered 2 sets in a row, then like consider. But if it's just 1 set, I'd say give it another try, especially if you've been doing good with the team prior, and I was doing alright. So they come in with Lickitung. I want to get a little bit of this chip and come in with Vigoroth, who's a really good counter for Lickitung. You resist all of the fast move damage, and everything else is neutral, but you just outpace with the counters and body slams, so this is a good matchup. I don't know, yeah, I feel like Lickitung, running him instead of Vig will be decent, but I can see the safe swap of Lickitung on Lickitung being a little bit difficult, but they come with Annihilate, go figure. This dude is everywhere now. I don't know what happened. I wasn't encountering too many until today, but he is popular for a reason. That is a crazy typing. But he decided to bait us with the Night Slash, which is wild. But, you know, we're just shielding all these up because I just don't want Guzzlord to get caught in this matchup. They come with Quagsire, and we have our Guzzlord. And yeah, this Stone Edge is going to do a lot of damage, but they decided to go for Aqua Tail, which is bizarre because I don't have any shields. They have no reason not to, but they go for the combo play, I guess, here. I don't know why my opponents are deciding to go for the weaker move first, but here we are. I can get the crunch off against Annihilate. They have to shield that. I've got the Ice Beam ready, and they shield that too. And, I don't know what happened there. I guess, did the recording cut on the last part? Well, sorry about that, guys. For future reference, I lost that set. I guess there's some issue in editing, but that's fine. We're speed running these sets. These body slam. And this is a pretty good matchup for me. It's I've noticed that like a lot of Dragonair leads will stand against the Azumarill matchup because they can get a lot of body slams off and get a decent amount of chip. It is telling me they might be weak to Azumarill, but I know I need to stay in here because my backline doesn't do too well against it, and they come in with Vigoroth. And this was where I messed up. I should not have blind swapped. I should have waited to see, because I should have chipped more with my Azumarill before that thing came in. Because yeah, the body slam takes me out, and I have to come back in with Azumarill anyways. So, oh, just a little mistake on my part. You know, running an ABB team, you generally either want to swap out early or don't swap out at all. You gotta keep Azumarill healthy, and well, it was a bit of a tough one, but we're just gonna see how this plays out. I think this is one that I don't do too well into, but let's take a look. So I go for the Ice Beam here. This should take it out, and oh, there's the call from my girlfriend. If you're wondering why that dropped down for a second, we keep the Ice Beam off, which is great. They are going to, yeah, go down. So not bad first set, but yeah, I made a few mistakes, but we can still pull it out. It's not terrible. So let's move on in. But yeah, this is my first time using Guzzlord. I know he's really strong in this meta, so it's been really fun. I like him. He has some glaring weaknesses, albeit Fairy, Ice, and Dragon, and Fighting, so it's not like he's disgustingly broken, but he does have some really good strengths, and that means Lantern, basically. He has a really good matchup into that. But Charger Bug's going to be throwing a move, X Scissor, we shield that up, and then he just goes for the back-to-back. I knew I had to shield one of those, so I just figured I'd shield the first one. But we're going to go for the Rock Slide here, see how that works out. And they shielded up. So they are all down on shields, and can we make it to the Body Slam? We can, just in time. So this is going to get some nice chip damage. And yeah, this is tough because he has charge moves to throw against both, and I'm like, okay, Azumarill's more tanky. We're gonna have to make this work. And they throw Discharge. We're surviving here. They throw another one. I'm like, I can't shield it. I need that shield for Guzzlord. And they come in with Annihilate, and this is tough, but we can make it to a crunch in time. It's gonna do a lot of damage. So let's see here. They decided for the Night Slash. I know I don't need to shield that, so we're going to save it for the Charger Bug. And we can get the crunch off. One more Dragon Tail, he's down. Perfect. And then they come back in with Swampert. And they decide to forfeit, which I think they might have still had some play there. But it was looking pretty bad for them, because I was almost to another crunch, and I had a shield. And Swampert's fast move pressure just isn't enough. But GG's to our opponent. And now we have Azumarill into Pidgeot, which is pretty good. I can comfortably tank a Brave Bird, so I don't need to worry about shielding any of this. And I can just start throwing Ice Beams. They try to bait with Feather Dance, but I don't care about that. I just want to get these Ice Beams off. And that's going to do considerable damage, but we're just building up to the next one, and I believe this is where they throw the Brave Bird and dip. Yep, and they decide to dip into their Mantine, which, looking back at it, I feel like I should have came in with Guzzlord, but they could have Ice Beam. So I decided to play it a little bit safe. I go in with my Vigoroth, and I just want to see what move they have. But yeah, we're gonna let this go. Interesting. I think I'm getting confused with another set, but we go for the Body Slam here. That's gonna do some nice chip damage if we get it to connect, and then decide to shield. So we are gonna get farmed down here, unfortunately, but we can come in with Guzzlord and get some decent Dragon Tail damage. They just have an Aerial Ace, so we can get that farm down. Perfect. And they come back in with Pidgeot. So that tells me that they are weak in the back to Guzzlord, which is great for me. And they have a Mandibuzz, which is one of the best matchups for Guzzlord. The Dragon Tail plus Dragon Claw combo on this thing is oppressive. Especially because his fast move is doing nothing, and all he can throw is Aerial Ace. So this is decent. I do have a move stored on my Azumarill still, so we're in a really good spot. So honestly, the name of the game is just spam. I decided to go for the quick Ice Beam here to go ahead and get that last shield out of the way, and this should free up Guzzlord. And what's great is since they have Snarl, they have to throw a move against Azumarill, which if they didn't have to and they could Snarl down, I'd probably lose. But We're able to make it to another Dragon Claw, and I think one more, and we are golden. Yep, that is a GG. They throw another Air Lace here, and yeah, they got into another one, we would be in a bad spot, but I think that was a CMP tie there. So I'm glad we made it just in time, and there we go. GG's to our opponent. It's a good game. So we're 3 up, much better than the last game. That's what I'm saying, guys. Like, even if you encounter like some really tough games, just go ahead, just play one more set. You're like, okay, maybe I made some mistakes, maybe I can do better. Let's see if this is just a bad team or I'm being bad. And so I think for the first one, I was being bad, but it was unfortunate. Like, sometimes you can also just have bad luck. Like 3 electric bug leads in a row? Yeah, my team's gonna suffer. And yeah, that's one thing to consider when team building, because Charger Bug core breaks the heck out of this team, so maybe I should switch it up eventually, but I did want to give this another try, because I kind of like the way it was working for the most part. But they swap into a Toxicroak, and I'm like, oh my god, this thing cannot see my backline, so I have to put everything in on this matchup, and thankfully, we can tank 1 Sludge Bomb and just barely make it to the Ice Beam after all shields are down. If I didn't make it there, we would be in a bad spot, but we're able to keep switch, and this is a GG. Like, we have the hardest answer for Trevenant, and the hardest answer, well, one of the hardest answers for Bastiodon. So, this is looking good. If I were my opponent, I would quit, but I respect them for playing it out. You know, fighting the good fight. It's always respected here. And Stoner is going to do considerable damage, but these counters just add up so quickly. It's crazy how much bulk Bastiodon has, but this is the alignment that we needed, thank goodness. And we can finish him off with one more Body Slam, and I think the switch clock is almost up. Oh, it's close. And we get farmed down, but that's not a big deal. We can get 1 crunch off and we'll be good. And what I was surprised of is just how much damage this Shadow Ball does. If he was able to make it to back-to-back, I might have been in a bad spot. But we can get the crunch off. That's an Oko. Perfect. Not bad at all. So, one more match of the set, and let's see how it goes. FX Scott. Okay, this was an interesting one. So we have a somewhat, I would call this like a neutral lead, but they do have Thunderbolt. We resist the counters, which is great, but yeah, the Thunderbolt's going to do considerable damage. But we're able to do almost just as much with our play roughs, and the bubbles do add up over time. So it's looking alright, and building up to our next one, and they decide to throw, I believe this is another Thunderbolt, so yeah, we need to shield it up, and they're gonna have to, yeah, they switch out. So I want to get this chip onto Lickitung, because he's just that bulky, and we go into Vigoroth. And this is a pretty comfortable matchup. I can't farm down, because the body slams will add up over time, but we are able to get a considerable energy lead here. Yeah, I can take another one comfortably, but one more, and I am taken out, so I'm just gonna get as much energy as I can here, and throw a body slam right before he gets the next move. Perfect. And they decide to come in with, waiting on the switch clock, Deoxys. And this body slam will threaten them, so they decide to shield that one up, and we can make it to another, but they want to switch out into their Toxapex. And this is why I love Guzzlord. Look at how good this matchup is. They have to make it to a Sludge Wave to do any damage. Brian's not gonna, it's just gonna tickle this big guy. And we get the defense drop. So this incredibly bulky Pokemon Toxapex is just getting chewed through by Guzzlord. And yeah, they can't make it to another Sludge Wave, so they just get farmed down. And we have a bunch of energy in the back to go with, and Deoxys can't touch this thing except for counters. Psycho Boost isn't going to do anything, and neither is Thunder. So we're in a great spot. And yeah, we get that Dragon Claw. So a nice 5-0 set to end out our day. Not bad at all. Well, for those of you who did watch all the way through to the end, I appreciate it. Trying to kick things off here. If you are watching and you have any suggestions for what you might like to see in the future, just let me know. But for now, I'm just going to keep doing this, see if it catches on. I'm having a good time making these, and I hope you all have a good day. Appreciate it. I'll catch you in the next one. Have a good one.